The Ukraine war created unintended consequences to the world order, as Russia and the West are in a decision cycle that can be described as an OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. The current loop cycle dates to Cold War era, but in the near term, if the Russian invasion is the start of a new observation step, then the loops include the West sending handheld anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles to Ukraine, all the way to the point of France discussing sending troops to Ukraine. In between these, NATO has added Finland and Sweden as members who declared they joined due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The adding of these two nations has made the Baltic Sea into a near NATO lake, but has more importantly made the Baltic region of NATO, having a common border with Russia, and has made the Baltic region the most likely flashpoint of a Russian-NATO conflict. The focus in the Baltic between Russia and NATO has led toward a nuclear rearmament race in the region. The primary area of Russian nuclear rearmament is Belarus, Kaliningrad, and near the Finnish border. Belarus is an independent country but is highly reliant on Russia and is a supporter of Russia's Ukraine invasion. Belarus allowed Russia to use its territory early in the war to invade Ukraine and threaten the Ukraine capital of Kyiv. The president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, agreed to station Russian tactical nuclear weapons in his country due to what he described as the threat from Poland, a NATO member, and its support of Ukraine in its war against Russia. Despite this statement from Belarus, the reason Russian President Vladimir Putin and his allies have threatened nuclear war against the West and its actions in Ukraine. The deployment of tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus was a move to add more weight to Putin's threat. The deployment of the nuclear weapons was completed in December 2023, with an unspecified number of weapons relocated. Belarus is also building facilities to support Russian Iskander nuclear-capable missiles to be stationed on its territory, as well as Russian promises to upgrade Belarus's air force with new fighters capable of dropping nuclear weapons. The other area that is suspected of having nuclear weapons, but is neither confirmed nor denied, is in the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad does not have a common border with Russia, but instead shares a border with the NATO member countries of Poland and Lithuania, as well as having water access to the Baltic Sea. Kaliningrad is vulnerable to pressure from NATO, but can also be a hindrance to NATO by denying access to its eastern flank by sea, and can threaten the land bridge from Poland to the NATO Baltic countries of Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. Kaliningrad has the nuclear-capable Iskander missiles, but there is no declaration that the missiles are nuclear-armed. However, Russia does maintain a nuclear weapons storage site in the enclave and has spent the last 2 years upgrading this site, which is about 30 miles, about 50 kilometers, from the Polish border. The final Baltic focus region for Russia is around the announcement of the formation of a new missile brigade in Karelia, near the Finnish border. The brigade will be armed with the Iskander missile as well, and Russian media announced the purpose of this brigade is a response to Finland joining NATO. Finland has been experiencing hybrid threats from Russia since joining NATO, with the most significant is Russia taking migrants from Syria, Yemen and Somalia and sending them to the Finnish border to claim asylum. Finland in return closed its border with Russia. The Finnish government position to this threat is a wait-and-see attitude to see if the missile brigade forms, or if this is just a threat from Russia that does not deserve a response. NATO is discussing a step toward responding to Russia's moving of nuclear weapons and nuclear-capable missiles being moved closer to NATO. Poland's President Andrzej Duda stated that Poland is ready to host US nuclear weapons on its territory in response to Russia. President Duda stated that Poland would take them if NATO decided on a policy of reinforcing its eastern flank. This statement in its wording indicates that Poland is pushing for the deployment of nuclear weapons to its territory in a response to Russia's decision to move nuclear weapons closer to Poland into Belarus and apparently Kaliningrad. Poland is a consistent critic of Russia and its threat to the Baltic region even before the invasion of Ukraine. Poland was in the process of building up its armed forces prior to the invasion and has accelerated those plans after the invasion. Poland has also been one of the staunchest supporters of Ukraine in its war with Russia, as it presses for a more aggressive response to Russia and more aid to be provided to Ukraine from the West. Poland has also taken a significant number of Ukrainian refugees that have been displaced by the war. Poland's public declaration of its willingness to take nuclear weapons and stating that it has been in talks with the United States over the issue. Poland is also requesting that its air force be certified to deliver the US nuclear weapons. The US currently only has B-61 nuclear gravity bombs in Europe, and it does certify some European allies to have dual-capable aircraft, DCA, that can deliver both nuclear and conventional bombs. The F-35 Lightning II has recently been certified as a DCA platform, and Poland is scheduled to take delivery of 32 F-35s starting in 2024. Decisions by NATO and Russia prior to the war created a situation that war was possible in Ukraine. Once the war was initiated, the preceding OODA loops have led to a point that both Russia and NATO have upped the ante to not only threaten nuclear retaliation against each other, but to make the physical step to move nuclear weapons or capable systems closer to the Baltic region frontier. It cannot be simply stated that the world is walking into a new Cold War, which can be viewed as true, but the Cold War in Europe never experienced a large land war on the continent as is being experienced now. A hot war has more rapid action-reaction times in the OODA loop than a Cold War that gives time and space to observe and make the next decision. That time to make a thoughtful, rational decision, and this is less likely in a hot war. Thus, the threats and actions over nuclear capability and delivery increase the stakes if a reaction to the war requires a quick and possibly hasty reaction. That can be a rash decision. The Ukraine war and the moving of forces closer together, including nuclear forces, puts the world in new territory that was not even experienced in the Cold War, with the cost of missteps being dramatically greater.